People are going to form an impression of you in the first few minutes of conversation. That's why in this video, you'll learn how to make an unforgettable first impression. The first thing to do is to break people's patterns. If you start off your conversations with being more energetic than everybody else, your interactions will start off on a more positive note.
Ma'am, let's start on a very positive note.
Always.
It's a great time for me to which we must raise a toast.
Indeed.
But we must do it like retro Bollywood villains.
Obviously, that's an extreme example, so how can you do something that's more natural for you? Before an important interview or a gathering, take some time to listen to music that you like so that you're in a great mood already. That way, you will be automatically smiling and excited to talk. In fact, a channel subscriber used this and went from feeling nervous in job interviews to being confident for future interviews. Being in a great mood has another advantage. It will lift the energy of other people around you because that kind of enthusiasm is infectious.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be working with one of your directors.
Meghna, yes.
Yes, and I can't wait, because I think she's also just like this creative kind of genius, she has those eyes that I just feel like I'm going to be like enjoying just watching her do this,
After the initial moments, almost everyone is going to ask you the same question. What do you do? A lot of people answer this with one word like researcher or consultant. That's why a conversation heads to awkward silence. Instead, here's an example of what to do from Dr. K.
Dr. K, if you had to summarize what you do for people professionally, how would you summarize it?
I help them understand themselves.
When he says that, you automatically become interested in what he's going to say next. In fact, the interviewer even has to ask a follow-up question.
And now expand for me what that means.
Here's how you can do a version of this. Let's say you're a doctor or lawyer setting up their own practice. Just say one more sentence about how you came to be doing what you're doing right now. That is more than enough to give a strong answer. When you nail this part of the interaction, you want to then drive conversation towards creating connection. Some people are so afraid of making a bad impression that they end up making no impression at all. Instead, if you drive conversation to your interests, you will be able to connect with the right kind of people because they will respond with a lot of enthusiasm. Here's examples from Tom Cruise. Notice the passion in his voice as he's talking about making movies.
I wanted to go to these countries and I would force the studios to send me to countries, and I wanted to understand, I wanted to see their movies with them, and I wanted to see the films that I made with them to see how is it communicating, not just reading in some book, but I wanted to experience it, and I wanted to go to these places and work with them and know them and then see their movies and make movies for them.
Talking about interests is great, but there is one final habit that will make sure that you connect deeply with people. And that is listening with presence. Instead of listening, most people just wait for their turn to speak so they can actually say something. But if you give people your undivided attention after you've made a strong impression, people will remember you and they will want to hang out with you again. To do this, let your curiosity guide you in conversation. Ask questions that you would genuinely like the answer to.
That's what I wanted to actually just, if I can start with that is that a conscious approach when you do that, or has that been always just the case of you as a performer that comes naturally to you, that for me to not take zyada stress and just go with what comes instinctively?
And as you're doing this, listen for emotion. Anytime someone says something, there is the literal words of what they're saying and there is the emotion underneath what they're saying.
Like literally from the age of 12, I've been like set for life. And that's like very different to how I was like before that age.
Is there a mixture of emotions surrounding that, like being set for life at 12?
And when you accurately listen for emotion and then reflect that emotion back to them, people will feel understood at the deepest level. And ultimately, that is how you create connection with someone. If you'd like a deeper dive on listening, watch this video and make sure you subscribe to the channel.